It's not picking up.
There we go. Okay, there we go. We're good. We're good. We're good. I was like, wait a minute. It's empty. There's nothing going on. Hello, everybody. This is Anthony. To be honest, on Mission Start Podcast, and it is 2016. Happy New Year. Welcome to the future. That is 2016. It's a bit of a different podcast today. Actually, hang on a minute. Let me pop this open real quick. Okay. There we go. All right. So, this is a bit different this year. This is a bit different in the sense that this podcast we're talking about everything 2015, like what was arguably the biggest stories to come out of 2015. You know, what were the standout games for us, and so on. But I'm not alone. Joining me, as always, is none other than Greg Deeds.
What up? What up? Sorry, guys. Hi. I might be a little quieter than usual, but that's because I am at home and I am actually streaming Skyping on my phone and playing Siege. So there's that.
Yep. Power of iPhone. Actually, iPhone's pretty good. Actually, I actually podcasted on there one time. It's not bad. All right. So, with that being said, 2015, it happened. It was a damn good year for games. I would say, where to begin? I guess we'll talk about the games that really stood out to us in 2015. There was definitely a lot of games that stood out in 2015. Again, it was another year for me that I felt like it was the indie scene coming out more this past year in the previous year. Games like Cryptid Necromancer, the Shovel Knight DLC, Plague of Shadows.
Yeah, I was actually on my list of top games I played this year.
There's definitely there was a huge amount of indie games I felt like came out really good. Also, some very experimental games that came out as well. Her Story was one of those. Also, Contradiction was another one that was using full motion video, which we've seen a good share of it this year, which is weird to see. So, like, the return of full motion video was cool, and it was kind of weird at the same time.
Yeah. I never got a chance to play it, but I know that like it was at the Game Awards or something. They were like, "Oh, this game is amazing, and you should definitely play it." And I'm like, "What the hell is it?"
Yeah, it's been a very, very interesting year for gaming. I think that man, for me, like, it was interesting to see some of these games come out. It was interesting to see how the climate of the gaming culture has changed to how people were kind of, in a way, just like reacting to these games, and kind of very vocal or very minority. So, yeah, it's been a great year, no doubt. Sorry, this cough's been with me for a very long time, and it's not want to go away. Yeah. So you're gonna end up hearing that. So Greg, I'm gonna ask you, what were some of your favorite games of 2015?
Well, I have a list in front of me if you'd like to know.
Oh yes, by all means.
So I kind of went down like a huge list that I saw that I was looking at of games that I had a chance to play, because there were a lot of great games that came out this year. But as people who may listen to this podcast, you and I, we don't have a whole lot of time and money to spend on just playing a ton of games.
Not yet, at least.
So, like, I never got a chance to play Splatoon. Still haven't.
I can talk a lot about that. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I know a lot of people love it. I was looking as I was going down. I was like, I haven't played that. But there were a lot I did play. So I will go in sequential order of release, because I tend to play games when they're new. That's just who I am. So the top one is Evolve. It came out in February, and I remember we did a lot of podcasts around that time, or we did normal amount of podcasts, I guess. And the thing about Evolve that stood out versus other games. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
Was
morning.
that? Well, before I continue about games, just to give you an idea, New Year's night, got drunk, slept for 5 hours, got home, took a shower, left, went and saw, or went with my buddy Andy to go see Hateful Eight. Then came here, stayed up until 1, slept on his couch until 9. Now we're here. So, not a ton of sleep between getting drunk and sleep on couches, but,
I
you know,
hear ya.
you do what you gotta do to have fun. Anyway, so Evolve. I argued a lot about Evolve because people were up in arms about its DLC or its microtransactions, and I defended the hell out of that game. We you pull it up if you want. My biggest defense of the DLC was that it was all of it was unnecessary in regards of like you playing the game. It was 42 pieces of 42 skins. That's all it was. It didn't change the game. It didn't like it wasn't a pay to win situation. It was quite literally them making a game. Whoop! And my phone fell down.
Oh. People are gonna get sick.
I hit my cord. I hit my headphone cord. I went, bow.
Yeah.
I gotta stop talking like an Italian. That's great. But yeah, I defended the crap out of the game because when you play the game, it's fun. It's a lot of fun to sit there and pick the different classes, to have the different monsters, and the only issue that I took with the game, and something I kind of saw while I was playing it was more of a novelty thing. The fact that it had a very small amount of characters and a very small amount of maps. Like, sure, they were like, well, depending on the types of classes you pick and how you approach the game, it'll always have a different outcome. It's like, yeah, that was fine for like a month or so, but after that, it just became a bit of a grind. It became the same thing, and most of the people that I know that played it stopped playing it. It's still a great game. It's just much like Left 4 Dead. After a certain period of time, you can only do the same things over and over and over again before you're like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
They weren't adding content fast enough. And because it was an online-only game with no campaign, there really wasn't anything to kind of keep people there. But regardless, the game was fantastic, and people didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. So, moving on. But that was one of my highlights. A game that surprised the shit out of me that I really enjoyed, and had I had the money at the time, I would have bought, but I couldn't. I couldn't even keep it through GameFly. By the way, I have a little bit of a runny nose. Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
You know what's funny talking about that game? So I heard a lot of good stuff about that game. People really enjoyed it. I think that the aspect of having kind of an MMO-ish type of Dragon Ball game is interesting. Just because we've known and seen previous games, which are all just kind of 3D-esque fighting games of Dragon Ball Z. So being in that universe, creating your own characters, your own Super Saiyan, if you will, and able to go around and fight battles or do whatever, was like a very different take on the game, and yeah, people really enjoyed it.
Well, I mean, how often do you get an MMO fighting game? That's what it was.
It was, yeah.
And when you played it, like when you played the campaign stuff where you didn't have to play with other people, the game didn't require you. As it was MMO, it was MMORPG. Much like other MMOs, you are kind of required to play with other people. Like, take Destiny for example. You cannot do the raids by yourself. You have to have a group.
Mm-hmm.
This game, not the case. You can level up high enough to fight the final bosses of the game.
Yeah.
And beat the game on your own in a fighting game fashion. And I think it was a really smart game to make. Did it make sense to the Dragon Ball storyline? No, but when the fuck does Dragon Ball make sense?
Good point.
So yeah, it was a really well made game overall, and I wish I could buy it and go back and play it because it was really well done.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
This game is probably my top highlight of this year, my favorite game of the year. So I'll leave that last. All right, I'll
Okay.
come back to it.
Okay.
But the next one on my list is Rocket League.
That
I can't wait.
game came out of nowhere. Literally.
Yeah, I can't wait till it comes on the Xbox because I played on the PS4 because my brother-in-law had it, or well, I got it free from him, and then I'm going to download it with the $20 gift card for my nephews because they loved playing it. They just couldn't on their dad's PS4 because their dad's like, nope, off limit.
Right. That is a game that literally came out of nowhere. It was the interesting thing about that game is that company put out a similar game prior to Rocket League, did not do quite well, did not
Right,
catch.
What was that on? PS3?
Might have been it might have been PS3 because I know that didn't.
No, Kidder did a whole video on it.
Yeah. But yeah, like they came out with a similar game, just a more refined tuned game called Rocket League. That was a lot of people took by surprise, and part of it, I think, the reason why some people got on board with it because it was free on the PSN network, and that's kind of where it blew up.
Well, also, I think, and something I've talked about is naming conventions. When you talk about what to name your game or something like that, like the other game was seriously like rocket powered supercars to play soccer, some shit like that. Like that's too much. Like when I call friends up and I'm like, hey, Halo, Gears, Siege, you know, like that's what you want to do with Rocket League. Yeah, hey, you know what's Rocket? Like you know what that is by one or two syllables, and that's what it should be. That other title kind of killed it. Also, I think the big factor is the online because I don't think you have the game
yeah,
online.
definitely. Yeah, it grew, it exploded so much to the fact that now, like, there's an esports aspect now added to Rocket League, and on top of that, you know, the company's putting out some, you know, awesome skins for these cars. Like, I think like recently they added some more skins. One of my favorites still as of late was the DeLorean you can drive as in the Rocket League.
Right.
So like
I hope that when it comes to the Xbox One in February, that all the DLC that PlayStation's got is just there on the Xbox.
Right, yeah. So that was definitely one of the biggest surprises of 2015 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Surprise to me as well, personally. So the next game on my list is Super Mario Maker. By the way, you might hear background noise, just so you know. I can hear it through the door.
No, that's fine.
The door's not completely closed either. But then again, I told them that we do this live, and if people say anything, just be like, hey, yeah, I'm not home.
Yeah, do it live.
Super Mario Maker. I didn't think I was getting a chance to play it. My buddy Andy ended up buying it for his son, and when I came over last time when I was over here, I couldn't get enough of it. Like, the idea that there's so many options now, or so many just, like I can play so much when it comes to Mario now, and creating my own maps, like, if I had time, if I legitimately had the time, I'd spend hours making a map, or making a level. Like, it's such a good game.
Yeah.
It's so good.
The thing about here's the funny thing about Mario Maker. Like this past year, I was very skeptical as far as like how can this game sustain itself. We've seen games prior to this that had a similar idea with the kind of world building aspect, and you know the comparison I made to it was Little Big Planet, and look how that went. So seeing how Mario Maker came out, seeing how the content of users putting out there was relatively really well, and it was a constant feed of good stuff. You know, prove me wrong. I thought the game would not last maybe a month. You know, I ate some crow on the show, and it's like, okay, you've proven me wrong. This game, the content is ongoing. Nintendo is supporting this game through more tools to, you know, create different levels. Like, this is a game where they put a system in place where it's easy to learn, and the only limit to making levels is your imagination. And it is the closest thing that they put out to be a level designer in a game industry. Or maybe this will, you know, lead to people wanting to make, you know, levels in the game industry. So it is really cool. I think that the fact that they have downed themselves with this game deservedly is probably one of the best games, if not the best game of 2015.
Yeah.
You
I
are.
wouldn't say the best game. Sorry, I'm trying to figure something out.
Oh no, it's
That's why-
fine. It's
that's
like
why
you're.
it's all
It's like you're sideways.
That's why it's all over the map right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't stream on my phone very often, so I'm like, ba ba da ba da ba. Okay. Yeah, like, it just, I mean, I completely agree. It's, but I think that's why games like Mario Maker were going to be popular, and something I think I even talked to you about when you were like, it'll be a shot or was it something in the pan, flash in the pan?
Flash in the pan, yeah.
I don't think you actually used those words, but that was your sentiment. And especially not the stuttering and forgetting the word flash. Yeah, like I just what I saw about it that made me go like, oh, this is gonna be a huge hit was the fact that I keep looking at my camera and not the camera or my video. Anyway, it was the fact the creation aspect. Games that have a huge creation aspect tend to last a lot longer or sell a lot more than games that don't. Now, an example of a game selling a ton and then not selling enough, Little Big Planet. The first game, sold a ton of copies.
Mm-hmm.
Little Big Planet 2 and 3, not so much. Especially 3. 3 kind of...
Yeah.
Like, it was bad. But, like, I don't think there'll be a 4. Even though Sackboy's still immensely popular. But anyway, that's what I saw. I saw that it's Mario. And to me, like, Mario, Mickey, Darth Vader, they're kind of like in that huge, like, extremely recognizable group, extremely knowledgeable, like, everyone knows who they are. And the fact that, like, you can make, you know, the creation aspect is so huge, like, I was just like, this game's gonna sell like hotcakes. Like, it's just gonna, it's gonna be insane.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Next on my list that I've talked about before is Plague of Shadows. I've mentioned it 1,000 times. I'm a huge fan of Shovel Knight. I think it is a very well-made game. Regardless of the fact that it has retro visuals, it is just a very, like, even if it was 3D, the controls are so tight, and I've gone over how much I love the game.
Right.
Plague of Shadows expands upon that by having this awesome ability to play as a character that you fought previously, and seeing what he was doing at the same time that Shovel Knight was doing what he was doing, expanding upon this world, this land that exists within this, you know, game it was awesome. It was and the game was really funny too. Like, Shovel Knight wasn't that funny. It was, you beat the level, go to the boss is like, harumph, 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 and then you fight them, they're dead, you didn't get to the end, you save Shield Knight, and you're just like, yay, that was awesome. This is like, there's more to it. There's a ton more to it. And characters are legitimately funny. Especially when you get to bosses, because bosses are like, well, you're part of the Order No Quarter, why are we fighting? And it's like, well, we're only sparring, or like, it was just a lot. It was so fucking cool.
Yep.
My only issue is that it is hard, much harder than Shovel Knight.
Yes, it is.
And I think that's because they intended him to feel floaty intentionally. He doesn't play. He's not supposed to play like Shovel Knight. He just plays in the same universe, and that was an added challenge. People going into it going like, "I'm playing Shovel Knight." No, you're not. You're not playing Shovel Knight.
You're not
playing a different game entirely.
Yeah. It is
also the fact that it was free was amazing.
Yeah, that is true too. That game, like Plague of Shadows,
Which realistically, Plague of Shadows is like its own game entirely.
Yeah, definitely. It entirely is. Plague of Shadows, like playing as Plague Knight was so different than Shovel Knight. Because like the way he would shoot his potions or his bombs were at a diagonal angle, going down or going up. There wasn't no horizontal projectile. The only projectile that was horizontal was when it was burst. And yeah, it did add a level of difficulty to the game where I've never experienced with Shovel Knight before.
Yeah.
I
Well,
would.
Shovel Knight, it was you get Shovel Knight, and then if you buy or find the magic pieces, you then can use magic. I've beat that game without using any magic. It's not necessary.
Yeah, it is not.
I use Icors, but that's just to regain health and magic that I don't use. This guy, like, he had a whole system set up to where you could combine weapons and make different things, and, like, I don't even know the number, but there's got to be, like, this huge number that's, like, how many different possible combinations of weaponry you could have with just that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was really, really clever. And I give, Yacht Club Games, like, I would know. That was insane to me. I was like, this is so awesome. And, like, I streamed it and, like, got a lot of viewers, too, because people were like, they knew, like, people knew how I felt about Shovel Knight, so they were like, what is he going to think of Plague Knight? Like, so, yeah, it was amazing.
Definitely. I'd say the last piece about the Plague Knight DLC is that that last boss, man, I loved it, but at the same time, that was compared to the Shovel Knight boss, man, miles ahead, a lot harder. That was a difficult fight, but I like the sequence and what they had of having.
I kind of want to play through it again because there were a lot of moments like you were talking about where like the boss was harder.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the boss was only hard because I couldn't figure out a proper strategy. You don't have a whole lot of time to figure out that strategy, so you got to figure out what works for you,
right,
and then go with it.
Right.
But I'd like to go through it again and be like, and kind of take my time and be like, well, what can work, because you do have unlimited lives,
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it was really good. I loved it.
Yeah. So I have two more things on my list, and this actually one is not on my list, but I remembered it because I looked this direction. Something that I didn't expect, right? Well, two games that I didn't put on the list because, to be honest, they're a bit of disappointments.
Okay.
Halo 5
Mm-hmm.
and Battlefront.
This is...
Battlefront.
Oh, okay, I was about to say, okay.
Now, that's not to say I don't like the games, because I do.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're very well-made games. To a point. I think the reason I'm disappointed with Battlefront is that the developers don't know how to balance a multiplayer game.
Mm.
It is really one-sided most of the time, and the stuff that's balanced is like the 6-on-6, the shit that I've played. Like, I'm trying to play Star Wars, not Call of Duty, not Halo. And to me, that was a bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
Like, I really like Walker Assault, but it's really unbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why. Like, and I'll still play it. Like, I still have it. I play it all the time. Like,
Right.
my buddy Andy's son guys it, and he loves it. So I'll occasionally hop online with him and play it for like an hour.
Yeah, I think also to add to that, like, one of the things that also disappointed with Star Wars Battlefront is that, two of the things that stand out to me about that game is that there isn't enough content to the game. Like, there's like 4 or 5 maps, and like a couple modes.
There's actually, it's funny you say that. Oh, sorry. There's only 4 planets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now there's 5 because there's Jakku.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that each planet has one isolated map for small base battles. So their whole thing is, there's only a certain amount of maps, but like, oh, there's actually like 12 maps. It's like, no, there's not 12 maps. Just because you segment 2 pieces of one map doesn't make it multiple maps. Like, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
So it's I agree. If you have a multiplayer game, have more content on day one. I get you want to release DLC, but it's really lacking. It really is.
It is. I think I want to say it was. Well, yeah, I think it was kind of rushed because of the movie coming out.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
I think that
they weren't even ready with the Jakku stuff because that's That's the major tie-in to the movie.
Yeah. What I will say though, the other thing that hurts it as well is that it's a much more stripped down version of what DICE is familiar with the Battlefield games. Like in terms of the combat, like it is so.
I'm gonna show you something cool
Alright.
before we continue this. I mean, keep talking about Battlefront, but
Okay, sure.
I'm gonna show.
Alright, sure. I'm gonna just put you on your face cam right now so you can show us something cool.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so as I was saying, like in terms of like the Battlefield game, like it definitely
no,
is.
I'm showing him the Anki drive. Try to turn the camera around.
Okay. This is some entertaining podcast material.
There we go. Do that.
Oh, that's really cool. So for those who are listening online, that I'm looking at like a racing car carpet. I want to say with.
So
like,
Anthony, I honestly have no idea how the technology works. I have to imagine it's height, like the technology that's in those little cars is got to be advanced because it stays on the track for the most part. Like it's. I honestly don't know how. Like I have to look it up.
That's so cool.
Zach is how fun is Anki Drive?
Super fun.
Super fun.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go back to record.
Game of the year. But yeah, basically what I was trying to say is the fact that Battlefront is just stripped down to what they're used to for a Battlefield game, and it was definitely it's a game where you can just spend 20 minutes with, play a match and get out. Like it's,
like that's why I said like I don't mind playing for an hour with Zach and his dad, and then putting it away. It's and I don't take it competitively.
Yeah.
Like there's other games, and I'll list off one of them here in a minute that I take much more competitively. Like with that, I'm just like I just want to get kills.
Yeah.
I could care less about winning.
For sure.
But yeah, Halo 5 was also a disappointment because its multiplayer wasn't the chaotic fun I was hoping. So when I saw Warzone,
yeah,
the way they presented it was like big team battle, and I went, yeah, sorry, I went, yes, that's amazing. That's what I want. Bigger big team battle. And it's not that. It's not that at all. It's
yeah.
King of the Hill. It's essentially King of the Hill, which was a game type that came out.
Yeah.
And depending on which hill you're fighting over, that's your war zone, is that little spot. It was just so. I wanted to like Warzone. I even like forced myself to be like, Warzone's not bad, but it is. It's not good.
How'd you like the fact that if you want to, I won't say a boost, but like the whole card system in Warzone, where you could buy cards to get
Oh, the rec system, shit.
Yeah.
The rec system makes Warzone extremely unbalanced. Now, I get what they were going with the rec system. That's a fun way to spawn vehicles. But the problem with the rec system is that you can spend real world money on rec.
Yeah.
That's where the game gets unbalanced. That's where it fucks up.
Yeah,
because people would be like, and another aspect of the rec system that sucks is that you can buy guns and armor that make your character stronger. Period. That's bad.
Yeah.
You're limiting the other players. That's not Halo. Halo's always been, and I hate to pull this card because I get mad at people for doing this, but it's true to this aspect. Halo's always been a game where everyone enters the battlefield on the same level, and it's your skill that really comes into play. And that's for the most part true when it comes to the other game types, but for Warzone, that's not the case at all. Warzone's based just entirely on how much rec you have.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, I think what's disappointing for me is like when I was listening to the Giant Bombcast this past week, they talked a lot about Halo, and one of the things that was pointed out was that the question was asked, like, how good was Halo? So it's like, it's Halo. It's like a shrug, like, it's nothing out of the ordinary of what that series does, and like this latest edition is like, it's a game where it's not innovating much. The game modes they put in there are not as appealing as some other ones in the previous games. Like, it's just another Halo game.
Right.
Which
that's not. I mean, that's not really like that's not necessarily a bad thing.
It isn't, but
as Halo is Halo. Period.
Yeah.
But like my buddy Andy and I talked about, when you want to play competitive Halo, you play Halo 2, maybe 3. People tend to hate Reach, say that it's the most unbalanced.
How can you hate Reach? Reach is godlike.
But that's my thing. That's I'll argue this with Ramen, because Ramen hates Reach for some stupid reason, simply because of the competitive aspect of the game. But Reach was, to me, the best multiplayer they ever had. Like, the big team battle was fucking chaotic and a block.
Definitely.
But when it came to like 4, we played a lot of 4 because that's all there was. That's the only competitive game that we had that we could play at the same time. And
right.
I think I like fully maxed out in that game on level based. On the 360, I should say. My Xbox One copy is still a 0 because I haven't even opened up Halo 4 in the Master Chief Collection. But I might soon, though, because Brian of Half Empty Energy Tank recently bought the Master Chief Collection and Halo 5, so
right.
He's talking about trying to run through it, and I'm like, oh boy. But yeah, it was just a disappointment. And then on the level of story, like, I enjoyed the story and I liked where they went with it, but the thing about stories is experiencing them with other people. And when the other people that you're trying to experience it with are like, who is that? Wait, who? What are they doing? Why are they doing that? Who's that person? You kind of go like, oh, I guess the story's not good. People don't know what's happening because it requires so much extra content to know what's going on. I don't mind the fact that in the story they went the route of like, oh, we're biting off the books, we're biting off this, we're biting off that. Because Reach did that. Yeah, Reach was like, Reach based itself off of those 3 first books.
Yeah.
But when you play the game, it's not required that you have to have played, that you had to have read those books. You can play Reach completely separately and know what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's the pinnacle of like how to make a game based off extra content. Like when you look at 5 versus Reach, and so
yeah, definitely.
I think 343's first game did a better job at explaining what the fuck rampancy was.
Well, yes, I'll go as far as I believe Halo 4 storyline was better than 5. I think that there's definitely
not better than anything Bungie's put out, but
yeah, I think that there's definitely some stuff that they could have had better in 4 that they could have explained and that would have helped. But overall,
certainly.
But overall, it wasn't that bad of a game. I think it's really good. I liked it. So yeah, it's just hearing what Halo 5 about what people are talking about it, hearing how it's just another Halo game, for better or for worse. It's kind of disappointing.
I wouldn't call it just another Halo game. I'd say it's their attempt at a rehash of. Hey, Minecraft Torch.
Cool. That's awesome.
I'd say it's certainly not more of the same. It's more in the line of like, how can we make a Halo game that stands out, but still have it be Halo?
Yeah.
And I really do feel like they went down. They stepped down. There are people that don't disagree with me, but like I said earlier, I don't hate Halo 5. I just think that it's not very good.
Yeah, same.
So So yeah, those are the two disappointments. That's why they're not on my list of top games.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of Bungie, speaking of Halo,
I know where you're going.
yeah. So a surprise for me this year that, if you remember last year around this time, I was discussing about how shitty Destiny was.
Mm-hmm. I agreed. I was on that boat too. I played that game.
Then the Taken King came out, and they revamped their entire system.
Yeah, they did.
The only thing that they're missing now is transmogrification, which is what WoW has, which is basically like if you have a helmet that's lower than a helmet that's higher, you can transmog that lower helmet into the higher helmet and make it stronger.
Yeah.
Maybe through like a small leveling system or whatever. In Destiny right now, if you have a lower helmet, you just dismantle it and get whatever out of it.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to fuse, or fusion, which is what it's called now, is if you have a higher gun and you want to fuse it into a lower gun.
Yeah.
To me, that defeats the purpose for the most part, because then you have to kind of choose, but it's still a much better system, and the entire game has been revamped to just be better.
Yes.
Yes.
What I always say about Destiny is that they really revamped the entire system, the entire game. They took a lot of notes during the time its release. They pretty much went in and changed what needed to be changed. And when the Taken King came out, the game was good. It fixed everything that has problems. Like hell, even my brother bought.
Fixed almost everything.
Yeah.
It almost fixed every problem I had.
Yeah, and hell, my brother bought the game on the PS4. So like
It's still an MMO, and there's still
Yeah.
an RPG element that's very grindy.
Yeah.
And if you know me about video games, I'm not a big fan of grind.
Yeah.
I don't like to do the same things over and over and over just to level up. It's just boring as shit to me. But with Destiny, I wasn't bored for a longer time than I was. As a matter of fact, we stopped playing it to play a different game that I'll mention that's on this list because the game's amazing. But we stopped playing it just to play this game. Had this game not come out, we'd still be playing Destiny. We'd still be trying to do the raid, and I'd still be getting irritated by the extra people that are on the team that can't fucking communicate or... Anyway. But, yeah, doing these, like, seasonal events every couple months, telling us, like, a lot of the DLC and stuff, we're going to try to make it free based on microtransaction purchases. Like, that's awesome. And the microtransactions are fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've spent $5 real dollars, so my character can do this.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's like, it seems dumb to somebody who doesn't play the game, but when my buddy dies because he's not paying attention, and I can now go Chub Rock Geek face palms, that's worth every penny.
You are in the Destiny Kool-Aid. You are drinking that.
Oh my god, absolutely. And I've told people this, like, I've actually gotten 2 different people to purchase the game simply because I was like, look, I know it seems like a lot of money, I know it seems like it's not worth it, but at the end of the day, there's going to be free DLC, there's going to be free updates, and the game has, like, if you buy the Taken King update, or you buy, like, the $60 Destiny with Taken King, you get literally everything they've ever come out with.
Yeah.
I would so
yeah, I would say Bungie's really turned things around for that game. I mean, like, it's so far what I've seen is kind of went from low to high to right now it's kind of in the middle. Like, the game is still good, but the content is now in question.
There's still problems.
Yeah.
There's still issues. There's still I mean, but the issues and problems now are more manageable. They're more I can look past them a lot easier.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, it's good. It's really good.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
Definitely.
So I still have 2 games to go down. We've been on this for about 40 minutes. However, you have put your input on a lot of games I've said.
Yeah.
I don't know what games you have on your list or anything that I haven't said, but the game that I've been playing a lot since it came out, which I think it came out early December, I want to say. Like, I play this game almost every single night. Rainbow Six Siege. Now, I played the beta,
Okay.
and I went, meh, it's alright. but it was okay. There wasn't a whole lot to it. There was one map, one game type.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really it didn't grab me by the nuts. Of course, I play with young guys who, at the age of 23, I would have been like, absolutely get in this game. I don't give a shit. I have expendable income. As a 32-year-old guy, I'm super cautious when I go to get a new game. However, because I play with them, it kind of revitalizes how I was then when it came to being excited about something.
Mm-hmm.
So getting into the game, I said I was gonna. I definitely told them I was like, when we were playing Destiny, I was like, I'm gonna rent it, but chances are, and I was wrong about that. And I'm happy that I was wrong about that. The game seems like a one-trick pony from the outside.
Yeah.
SWAT team on the inside, or terrorists on the inside, protect a thing, or I don't know. They're all different SWAT type people from around the world. There's SAS, SWAT, the Russian. Hang on, I have the game open right now. I can just pull up the different.
What we'll say about the game is that Siege has kind of been getting mixed reviews and kind of mixed opinions. People either really love it, or people are not on board with it because of the what they're offering in the game. I'm kind of on the fence on both ends per se.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about the game that sucks. It's really shitty by yourself.
Yeah.
When you play it alone, God, it's awful. It's just not fun.
Mm-hmm.
Playing it with buddies, though, it is a blast. Communicating, watching your buddies breach an area, and then you go from the other side and you kind of spook the enemy. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I get where people are coming from. I understand where people are coming from. It's a rough game to kind of get into, but once you start to get into it, once you start to level up and unlock different attackers and defenders, the game opens up a world of possibilities. So let me give you some numbers, Anthony, and tell me if you think that this game would get stale. There are only 5 maps. Each map is much larger than you'd think. It's about each map has a building or a large house in it. There are in each level or each map a possibility of 4 to 5 locations in which the object the attackers have to get to, or the defenders have to defend, can be placed within this building.
Right.
There are numerous windows around the area, different ways you can breach the house. Not one way is ever the same. Not one way is ever different, ever similar.
Mm-hmm.
You have to approach it the same way every single time, which is with caution, was what I mean by that.
Right.
So no matter what angle you're coming from, no matter what strategy you try to take, you have to approach it with caution. Now, let's put this into play. So you have that number based on how many levels and how many different positions, and the game types are different too. With the containment unit, you just have to get in there and hold that area. With the hostage, you either have to kill everybody or get the hostage out. The hostage can be damaged, can be killed. So if you throw a grenade in there, you kill the hostage. So you have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's bomb, which bomb is unique because there's 2 different bombs in a building, in 2 different rooms.
Right, definitely.
Sure, they're close to one another, but they're not in the same room. And the attackers can go in there and clear out one room, plant the diffuser, and then just defend that. And then then the defenders have to come in and try to, and then be the roles get switched in the middle of a bomb match. So you have that number, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, there are 10 classes for defenders and 10 classes for attackers.
Yes.
You can only have 5 per team. So do the numbers on that, on how that team works, right?
Yeah.
you have only 5 possibilities out of 10 every match. The amount of combinations that you could get is astounding.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't think I've played this game where 2 matches have been the same.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't.
I'm done here. There definitely is a strategy when it comes to Siege, especially with the different classes that are in that game. And it's definitely, each class can counter another class, so there's not always one particular class that dominates per se. There's always going to be counter for each one.
Right, there's a class that can see electronics, so if somebody puts up a bomb on a wall or a door, that person can see that, but otherwise they can't.
Yeah.
Plus, drones are a massive help. Like, there's just so much about the game that, like, I don't even know how many hours I put into it, close to 100, and I'm still not bored of it.
Yeah. It definitely is a testament.
Right, from the outside, I was worried this game was going to be a little bit like Evolve or Left 4 Dead.
Uh-huh.
Such a one-trick pony that, like, after a month, we're done. Not the case with this. Plus, the other cool thing, and I should mention this, is that the way the DLC and microtransactions work, every microtransaction is cosmetic, or a renown boost. So renown is the money in the game, or in-game money. Credit is the real-world money.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can buy renown boost. So what? You unlock the other classes faster, or you just have a shit ton of money for no reason?
Yeah.
The other benefit, the other plus side, this is something along the lines of Evolve, all maps and game types, free. Also, I'd like to mention this, all new classes, free. However, you buy the season pass, which is $30, all 8 of the new classes that will eventually come out over the course of time will be immediately available to you, and a week earlier than everybody else. But if you don't get the season pass, they're still available to you for a shit ton of renown.
Right.
So, in, I think a couple weeks' time now, when those 2 new classes pop up, which gives 11 to both sides,
right.
I'm saving my renown. And by the time that they are available, I'll be able to unlock one of them. The week ahead of time, I'll get to see other players play as them. I'll get to see how they fight. I'll get to learn them. My point is, the DLC for this game is how DLC and stuff should be ran, since we don't pay more for the standard of video games. Since the standard is the $60, which is extremely cheap compared to how much it costs to make these games, I think that this game does it correctly. The only thing about this game that I have a gripe, the biggest thing I have against it is sometimes the kill cam is off.
Is it really?
much like Call of Duty, yeah. There's times where I watched a guy, like, the entire cursor goes around my head, yet he got a headshot. So I don't like the kill cam in this game. Plus, the servers are garbage.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've heard a lot of, is that while there's definitely some good aspects of the game, the one thing that hurts it the most is the servers, like the online issues. And that's what...
It's bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I told you how my sleeping's been going.
Yeah.
But like, I'm at my buddy Andy's house. We are on the same network, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's 2 consoles here, but we're on the same network. And yet Andy was getting error codes and logged out of matches while I was still playing.
Yeah, it's bad. It's awful.
Yeah, it's but it's also not the worst.
Of course, there's been much worse.
I still play the game a shit ton. And when you're in a match, it works. I remember the first day that I got it, and I was almost like, well, I'm not playing this game anymore, because literally my first couple matches, they were so bad and laggy that my character was doing this rubber band thing where he'd move forward and then be brought back.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
And there was even a moment where I was prone, and I looked around me, and I could see my own legs. But yeah, But now, like, they came up with an update shortly after that, and I've been playing it since, and just it's amazing. It's just so much fun.
Yes.
You just have to I guess you kind of have to get into it, warm up to it a little bit before you're like, yeah, Siege.
Yeah.
But since I've kind of controlled this podcast,
Which is fine. It's whatever.
just talking about things that came out this year anyway.
Yeah.
The thing that was the most, like, memorable thing for me this year, when they have a physical copy of this, I'm going to try to buy it, just because
All right.
I want to support as much as I can. But, and I've already bought all 5 episodes, but Tales from the Borderlands.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah.
I understand that episode 1 came out 2014, but 2, 3, 4, and 5 came out this year, so I'm going to count it as a 2015 game.
Okay.
When 4/5 of your game came out in a year, I think you can call it the game of that year.
Yeah.
I'll admit, episodes 2 and 3, they were good, they were fun, they were solid, but 4 and 5 had me literally in tears from both actual sadness and laughing. There were so many moments that I adored through the entire game. The combination of a world that was created and then expanded upon by an actual comedian, and then amazing writers that work at a company expanded even further upon in a story-based game set in that world. It was the perfect storm. The absolute perfect storm. And I sincerely hope that before there's a next Borderlands game, that there's another Tales from the Borderlands game. I want another one so bad. Because also the game leaves off on a little bit of a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
So
I heard. Yeah.
Sure, the overarching plot is wrapped up. But there's more. There's more to be done. There's more to be said. And plus there's characters introduced in this or expanded upon that I'm just like, I absolutely adore. I love them. Loaderbot being one of them. Is it Gordis? Gordis being one of them. Voiced by the same girl who did what's her name from not Left 4 Dead, but Last of Us. The girl did,
Oh, what are you talking about?
the hell's her name in Last of Us? The girl that's in Last of Us.
Shoot, I forgot the name. I know who you're talking about.
I think the actress is Ashley Johnson.
Yeah.
Anyway, she does the voice of this robot named Gordis that shows up in, I think, episode 3. But yeah, like, and then you have the 2 new protagonists that I think are so much fun. You had legit moments that just there's just so much. There's just so much that's amazing. And if anyone listening to this podcast or watching is a fan of Borderlands and wants to kind of get into the franchise, I think that's my only I think that's my only problem with Tales from Borderlands. I don't feel like it's an entry-level place. You kind of have to be a fan of Borderlands and know a little bit of the kind of to play it.
Yeah, I can definitely see that for sure.
I mean, I understand that they added new characters to kind of have that happen.
Right.
But unless you sit next to somebody who can kind of explain a little bit of who Handsome Jack is by having played the pre-sequel and Borderlands 2, like there's just a little bit there that doesn't really add up for a new person. But
Yeah.
someone like me who's played 1, played 2, played pre-sequel, like, it's so good. It's so fucking good.
Yep.
So
Definitely.
I'd say that's definitely my game of the year. Just because nothing else really stood out super well. Nothing really, like, I mean, I've told you the other games that were really like, yay, but that's the one. Like,
Okay, awesome.
That actually got emotional over.
So what was I gonna say? Now we have about 5 minutes left.
Sorry, I completely took over.
Nah, it's fine. It's fine.
I was gonna ask you what if there was anything that I didn't list off that you really enjoyed.
The one game I can think of at the moment, and I think it's very impressive for me to say this. Nintendo has always been about their IPs. They always have been the same ones over and over again. Just one of the complaints they had early on with the company is that they need to have some new stuff. Like they can't rely on Mario and Zelda and on other IPs that have for such a long time in the series. So the ironic thing about it too is that Splatoon for me is probably my favorite game out of last year that came out on Nintendo. And the ironic thing about it is that like Splatoon, the shooting is good, the characters are great, the entire theme of the game is really cool, and it all fits together. It is a game where it is a perfect mesh between combining like the elements of a third-person shooter for a casual audience, and at the same time have some deep systems mechanics in it, including the different clothes you wear to boost your stats, or the different guns you would earn over the game in terms of having different results. How you want to be, long range, short range. If you want to steamroll with the roller. So, and Splatoon to me is like one of the most impressive games that came out of 2015 for me. It came out of Nintendo of all companies, and it was one of the most fun times I ever had. That game is still fun. That game is still great, and the amount of support they put into that game in the past year was definitely really fun. Oh, I'm getting an echo.
Yeah, it might hit the phone fell. I couldn't catch it. It fell, hit the ground.
Gotcha. What I was gonna say is that game was so much support came from that game from Nintendo. Because initially, it came out and it was a rough launch start, but over time, more and more content came out. There were more maps, more modes. It was definitely a game that supported. And that and Mario Maker, I feel, were probably the best games of Nintendo for this past for 2015. That and Smash Brothers. I feel like
I think this year was actually a really good year for Nintendo, regardless of like past like. I am gonna sneeze. I'm gonna try to mute my mic when I do.
And it's not there.
Oh, it's like right here. I can feel it.
Yeah, I know that feeling, man.
Oh, damn it! Now it's just sinus pressure. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still need to play Splatoon. They have it here, but I think the one of the kids bit the charge cable for the gamepad.
Oh, that
so
sucks.
They can charge it.
Damn,
yeah.
That sucks.
I know you can rubber band a Wii remote to the back of a Pro controller or something like that, but
yeah.
I'll play it one day. I'll eventually get around to playing it, but
Definitely.
yeah, it was a pretty good year for gaming. I think it was I will say this, we covered E3, we covered a lot of news this year. And I think that this year has been, in the best terms, eventful.
Yeah. There was never a dull moment.
There was never a dull moment. I think if we could cap off this podcast year, or 2015's year, with us talking about gaming news, was mostly me just going, would people just shut the fuck up?
I mean,
stop complaining so much. If people didn't complain, what would we talk about?
That's true. That's very true. If it wasn't for anybody complaining, there'd be nothing for us to talk about. But that's gonna do us for the show for this morning. Before we go, Greg, where can I find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram as ChubRockGeek. You can follow me on Snapchat. I've been doing Snap stories, or whatever, as ChubRockSnap. I like to do a lot of fun stuff. Not a ton of video game, but If you would like to follow me on Xbox One, I can't promise I'll friend you back, but you can follow me on there, Chub Rock Geek. Something I'm going to talk to Anthony about, but I might be done writing reviews.
Secrets. Well, not really secret anymore,
Not
but
done doing reviews. So we'll talk about it, but point is I can't promise you'll see my writing on the website for 2016. But I'm not done with Mission Start, and I'm certainly not done with providing content. But regardless, when new content does come up, it'll be on the website. I also stream every Saturday, specifically tonight, on Half Empty Energy Tank, 5 to 9 Pacific Standard Time, or 8 to 12 Eastern Time, whatever part of the world you're on. The other Central Mountain, figure out your own time zones. And yeah, so I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's all I do right now.
awesome.
I also work at school as a lunch lady. Other than that,
Sounds good. Sounds fun.
I want that sound as plain and flat as possible.
Yeah. You can follow me personally on Twitter at DefectNaruto. You can follow the work that me and Greg do on our website at missionstartpodcast.com. And let me bring this up real quick. So if you enjoy listening to us either on YouTube or on our website, you can also subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher for Mission Start Podcast. If you enjoy our convention talk, if you enjoy us talking about the previous conventions we've been to and kind of our experience with it, check out the Con Over, which is also on iTunes and Stitcher, as well as on our website. And if you enjoy comic book news, if you enjoy, entertainment, movies, all that good stuff, check out the Rolling 20s, hosted by Jeremy, on our website at missionstartpodcast.com in the podcast section, as well as iTunes and Stitcher. Just a reminder, also, put it back to me. I will be hosting a tournament tonight for Skullgirls at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time on this channel. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm putting in some own money as well as prize money for as an incentive. But definitely it's happening tonight. So definitely come by, check it out. And
Basically, what you're telling me is, if they want to see a Skullgirls tournament, tune into your channel or wherever you're going to be. Is it this channel?
Yep, this channel.
Okay, so tune in here if you want to see fighting games, Skullgirl fighting tournament.
Yeah.
However, if you want to see two grown men play Lego Dimensions with a 6-year-old, tune in to Half Empty Energy Tank at 5.
Or do both. Have both streams on.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah,
Multi Twitch. All right, so that's gonna do it for us, guys. Again, if you're watching this, thank you for 2015. It's been one hell of a year. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good games that came out this year. And of course, again, thanks to you guys for always watching and always giving your opinion and always keeping us afloat when it comes to listeners. Don't forget that follow button if you're watching this channel right now. With that being said, Happy New Year. We're in the year 2016, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.